welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and we're back talking more Why the Last Man. This time it's Season 1, Episode 4. Full spoilers if you haven't seen this episode, and if you're liking what we're doing here on the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you could, and the like button if you feel like, all that's jazz. It's really there for my motivation, right? I don't really whatever. So if you're new to the channel, all that jazz. Welcome to the conversation. If you're a returning subscriber, watcher, whatever, welcome back. How you doing? So we got a few things, just a couple of things we need to touch on because we had 3 episodes jammed down our throat, and it's fine. I don't know how I feel about that. It's better than getting the whole season all at once for me. I'm sorry, binging I only do occasionally, and only if it's for something that I've really been looking forward to and have no choice over. Like if they throw it all out there. And so I'm glad that we get the 3 episodes, and now we're down to 1 a week, so we can take our time with it, have something to look forward to. I wanted to touch on a couple. One is Nora. I had some people in the comment section mention what is the point of her? And to be honest with you, as much as I talked about it, and because it's there, I don't know why either. I think this character will have a lot more to do once they get back to Washington. I don't believe she's a comic book character. I can't remember her. So what she will contribute. She was working for the previous administration. Will she be for Diane Lane's character, or will she work against her? I'm leaning towards that she'll work against Amber Tamblin's group, but hopefully this doesn't turn into some, I don't know. I don't want this to turn into a what's going on at the White House politically show, who's wrangling politics. In the end, this story is about why Yorick, but it's also about the whole world without men, and we get to see a lot more of that here in this episode. As longer time goes by, grouping is happening. We're starting to see people tribe up, because that's what this country does, is we tribe up, and what different factions would look like in this. So this is called Karen and Benji, and I broke this up into 2 categories. One's Yorick and 355, and the rest is Hero and Nora. We get no Diane Lane in this, or Amber Tamblyn. But we do get a really unrecognizable Missy Pyle. I really did not know that was her until they threw her name into the credits. I was really, usually she just looks like Missy Pyle. You know what I'm saying? They really dressed her down, and I liked that a lot. Now, both of these stories have Yorick and Hero in the situations. It's almost what I mean similar is there's one point in each story, except one is Yorick knowing something about 355, and the other one is Sam knowing something that Hero did. Now Yorick in this, he knows, if he was suspected that he knew what was going on with the pilots, he brings it up. Just like how Sam calls out Hero about the car later on in this episode. She's not fooling anyone, and neither is 355. That they kind of treat them oh, they won't know, and they do know what went on. They're not fools. I've said Yorick is a bit of a dumbass, but when I say that, I don't mean he's a complete idiot. He's not. He's just lived a different life, and that gets called out too in this episode. This story has a slow pace, and I can see why this would upset some people. I really can, because this is in the world we live in. We have 11 seasons of The Walking Dead and a whole bunch of Fear the Walking Dead. I don't even know how many. And then you've got The World Beyond, and they're all shows where people are walking around. They've been walking around an apocalypse, and it's all wordy and character building and not a lot of action. In the comic book, you have the advantage of being able to have an issue, have an adventure, wait a month, jump to the next adventure, jump to the next adventure. Each issue, something else happens, and it moves much faster. And it moved faster, even in the Walking Dead comic, even in the Yorick story in Y the Last Man. In the show, though, in a TV show, like any long form series, they drag things out. So you're going to see the kind of boring nature of this kind of show where it's a lot of character. It's a lot of the journey getting somewhere. So, but I do get why some people would call this slow. Because, again, it's, there's a lot of walking and talking. But there is some pretty interesting stuff that happens in this episode, too. Also, we don't get an answer to why 355 is walking around the woods having a dream about singing and dancing. I thought maybe she had suffered an injury or something, that she was concussed or something, because she almost walks off a cliff. And I'm trying to remember if that has anything to do with her comic book counterpart, and I'm failing to remember. And I don't want to look at the book because I don't want to be so steeped in the books that I can't get over them. Like I said in episode 1 issue, where I didn't want the comic book to really, I didn't want to spend a lot of time comparing the two. But I do want to know what's going on because we don't get an answer to that, and it leads me to believe that there's something with her that we're going to find out, that she kind of, not a screw loose, but there's something wrong there. So we're going to just nail on Yorick stuff. Sorry, it's been a long day, by the way. So if I seem a little like, what the hell, why is he pausing? Also, I have company over, and I'm trying to get this done so that I can get to the company that I have over. We get a lot of awkwardness between 355 and Yorick in this, the bath time, but also just like a lot of like invasiveness to what Yorick is normally used to, and he does not grasp. He's a guy who doesn't want any of this. Nobody would, but he's really, like, just like Hero is not grasping the severity of things. Hero is avoiding her mother, and Yorick is ignoring like how important all of this really is. I think it's hard, and maybe it would be hard to really, really soak in that you're the last man on Earth and what that means. And that how many people have so many different ways they'd want to deal with you, use you, kill you. And 355 really gets, it kind of comes to a head early. And I'm glad that they get this kind of out of the way in this episode so that we don't have to like have this blow up in like episode 8 or 9. Now, I did really like when somebody finds their camp. A couple of ladies find their camp. And we already know now what Yorick knows what 355 is capable of. Because she's reaching for her gun. These two girls are dead. Just like the pilots. They're dead. Almost assuredly. Because he might have his mask on and he's got the monkey. But this conversation that they're having doesn't sound like it's going to end well for them. So he risks his life again by exposing himself. Like, he doesn't take his mask off, but he rushes in to scare them away. He scares them away to save their lives. But it's not appreciated by 355 because she's there to protect him above all other things. And when she has a mission, it is on. She will not deviate. This is, for her, him putting himself needlessly at risk, which he is. But Yorick is a good person, and he knows, he throws it at her. Like, hey, just like the pilots, right? So he throws in her face that he knows what she did, and that's what was probably going to happen to those ladies right there. Now, right after she's telling him, you got to do what I say and everything, you don't understand how much we need to protect you, she takes him to a market. Now, maybe she took him there because, she couldn't trust to leave him on his own. So maybe keeping him closer to her is better as long as he keeps the mask on and stuff. But they get to the market to find, like, transportation. They're looking for a bike. And this is where we find out, like, things starting to group up. There's this place where people are trading. People need things. People need supplies. Everything is very, it's very apocalyptic. Things just aren't being made. Things are getting scarce. The world has not found a way back yet to industry and manufacturing and getting things done. So a group of Stades wives, so a bunch of state police, all the men that were a part of the state police are dead. The state policemen's wives have taken up monitoring this market and taking what they want by keeping the peace there, by making it organized. And I thought that was interesting. That they accept it. The people at the market accept it because it was chaos before. But now these people are, they see the value in that. Instead of like doing it because it needs to be done and everybody getting their fair share, they're dipping their wick to get what they want. And we also see what they're really like when they find Yorick out of bounds, which again, he wasn't chasing the monkey. This time he thought he saw Beth, which I thought was, is that the monkey ran off scenario that we have? That we can't keep having him chase the monkey, so we're going to have him think he sees Beth so that he puts himself in harm's way again. I don't know how I feel about this, but it is what it is. And he gets caught by the Stades. He is exposed. They demask him. They know he's a man. But before they can do anything, 355 arrives and just starts kicking their ass. But they barely get away on the motorcycle. These people are firing at him, all right? They are shooting to kill him. Because the Sia man now is such a fright, apparently, that it's shoot first, ask questions later. Like maybe he's diseased. Maybe, if he's around, they'll die. But now they're shooting, like there's a woman who gets caught in the crossfire. The woman who sold him the bike. She gets shot. 355, though, I thought was interesting is she goes to take aim, and she, I think, initially was going to kill her, and instead shoots her in the leg and takes off. Which leads to them having their argument and her talking about his privilege and, just walking into a room and everybody just, you don't have to worry about anything. You've never had to worry about anything. You just are given things. And that was a powerful statement. That was a powerful scene, her throwing all that at him, I don't think she was just talking for herself. I feel like that was a statement scene that was, for a lot of different reasons. But he's not happy either because, of everything that he knows about her. But they make up for it later. She realizes she pushed him, he pushed her, and they do some magic. He shows her some card tricks. And, to try to get some ground, they've gotten it all out there for now. And that once they find the scientist, she will help him find his girlfriend. So that's Yorick's end of things. Now, Hero and Sam's end of things is also pretty interesting. It says a lot about Hero. Now, I like Hero. I like Olivia Thirlby's presentation of her. Now, in the book, so far, like when you see her originally in the comic. It's very accurate to the book. Now, right, everything else hasn't been, but maybe we haven't gotten there yet. Maybe we're seeing the journey for a hero to get where she goes. Maybe we're gonna skip that altogether. Maybe that story arc, what hero becomes. Maybe that's a little too much. Maybe the studio thinks it's a little undoable. Like certain plot lines from Walking Dead were left out that I think were probably too upsetting. And there's something that happens with the group of women comic that if you ask anybody or if you read some articles online, you're going to find out what I'm talking about. Now, will they show that? I don't know. But they find themselves at this house, this like ranch, where we hear about Karen and Benji being Hero's like riding trainer, and she had a son named Benji. And they find a car. And this is where it really comes out really hard about how much Hero does not want to go to DC, how much Hero is avoiding her mother. Now, she describes what her mother has said to her about having no regard for anyone but herself, that she's cruel, and that I'm trying to find. Now I gotta find it. Self-destructive. And yeah, she said some horrible things. Parents do that. Parents know how to cut. Kids know how to cut back. Is there more to this, or is it just bad blood, bad words, disappointment, resentment? She knows that Hero is having an affair. But here's my thing. And I'm just throwing it out there, because I have my own issues with family. But it's the end of the fucking world. So why? She needs to get over it. No, she doesn't. Her feelings are valid, but it's just, I feel like when push comes to shove, right? When the end of the world comes, your parent, right, will be just happy to see you, that you're okay, that you're alive. And if they're gonna throw you some shade about what you've been doing in your life, I think you can take it. And so I feel like she's just, I don't know. I sympathize because my parents judged, my family judged everything about me because, I was, if you guys don't know this, I was raised a Jehovah's Witness for a really long time. And so everything I did was scrutinized. Any little step out of line was always challenged and thought, you're not going, doing right by Jesus, that kind of thing. You're gonna be like one of those worldly people. So I get it. But it's the end of the world, and I do think that Diane Lane's character, her mother, would just be happy to see her. So, but they find this car, and in order to not use it, Hero trashes it. And I shouldn't say trash it, but she prevents it from being usable rather than go. Even though she talks Sam into staying an extra day, and then we can go. And that's not enough. And she sabotages the car and keeps them stuck there. And then they find Nora and her daughter and help her. And they bring her back to the ranch, which turns out to be a women's shelter. This whole place is a women's shelter. It's more like probably, because it's a ranch, this is probably a place that a lot of women have used and gotten a lot of help from. Now, I should have put all this together right away, like what was going to happen, because there's no smell at the house. There's no bodies. Maybe the people are still here, Sam says. And that night when her and Sam kind of make out, which was very, I don't know how I feel about that. Because Sam is a man. He was a woman. Now, he's transitioning into what he really is. I find it interesting, that the persecution that he's having to go through because he's just being who he is, and as women seeing him are afraid and upset that he would choose to be a man, when that's what he is. It'd be the same if Sam was a woman. But I think it was an interesting choice to make Sam a man who was transitioning. And showing that, you know, like I said, that even with all the men gone, there are still going to be problems in society. And how people look and feel and believe doesn't end with the men. But these people finally do show up. And they are the women from the women's shelter. They were out probably, you know, looking for supplies, which we find out, like, whoa. But this place was a place for women's, you know, to come together and get out of bad relationships, get out of bad situations. And for them, the loss of all the men in the world was probably a very, very, you know, to them was a good thing. So when they see Sam, I mean, they straight up want to murder him. You know? But because they have a hurt person and Hero is an EMT, they bring them all along. They, you know, it saves their lives. So Hero attempts to save this person's life, but it's too far. She's too far gone. And their leader, I think her name is Roxanne, played by Missy Pyle, just walks in and shoots her. And then admonishes them for how they've been treating everybody that's there. You know, that they tried to help us and this is how you treat them. Now, whether or not that's all on the up and up, whether or not she's just, you know, saying that now for show or what, I don't know. But they have a lot of stuff in their little warehouse. Now, I don't know how we didn't see this before. It's probably they probably just didn't do a lot of exploring, but this place is pretty stocked up. Now, will this women's group become the group that Hero was a part of in the comic? I don't know. Will she become a part of this group and not do the thing that happens in the book? I don't know. But that's where we end it. Going into there. So a lot happened to me. I think we further the characters along more than we further the plot. And I think that once Yorick and 355 get to Boston and find the scientists, I think that's going to be really a nice injection of plot movement. I have a feeling we'll probably see more of Washington in the next episode. And what is going on with this group that Hero and Sam find a part of? Well, that's just going to be what we'll have to wait to see next week. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Otherwise, we'll see you next Monday for more Why the Last Man. Thanks for watching. Bye.